give a hand to our next speaker, Ashley.
Okay, good morning. Can everyone hear me? I don't like to be stationary. Matthew knows that, but I'm going to try to try to practice my new techniques with you guys. So I don't like being behind. So like he said, how many people are familiar with CISA or CISA? And if not, okay. So for those of you who are not familiar, I'm from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is under DHS. People think we only do cybersecurity, critical infrastructure, but we also want to kind of do speaking engagements and talks for those, and we want to push equity within the cyberspace and the IT community. So that is why I'm here today. This is not my topic of choice because I wanted to talk about AI, but in the federal space, AI is still like a bad word, so we don't get to discuss it much. So hopefully you guys like my presentation, and maybe if I do good, they'll let me come back next year and talk about AI. So my presentation is going to be building secure and resilient Kubernetes environments for resource-limited organizations. So at CISA, we have a phrase we like to use. It's not to bash anybody, but we have organizations that are target-rich and resource-poor. So anybody want to guess what type of organizations they'll fall in? And you guys have to talk to me because I like to have conversations when I do presentations. So I don't want to have to pick anybody out, so just shout it out. What organizations do you think we mainly deal with when we talk about those target-rich, resource-poor? You can just shout it out. You said what? What else? Oh, that's a good one. What else? Oh, really good one. You guys are missing one big one. Your kids, if you have them, are there today, or they should be. Schools. Because, you know, we just had the Power School breach. Schools are a wealth of data. So most of these young kids have Social Security numbers. Parents are not monitoring them. And if I'm an APT actor, I'm going to steal those socials because by the time you realize that I stole it, I've already done the damage to your children's credit score. So that's always good to know. So let me go ahead and get started today. We're going to talk about the agenda. If it goes. Okay, hold on. There we go. So this is my agenda today. And like I said, I want to be here today because we want to push equity, right? So a lot of these organizations that we see, they have maybe one or two IT staff. I have organizations that don't even have an IT staff. So the janitor and the CEO may be one and all the same. So the janitor is the CEO and he's the IT staff, and he has no idea what to do when it comes to Kubernetes. He knows that it's deployed, he knows that they're using the platform, but he doesn't know how to use it, who to go to. So I'm here today so you guys know that there are communities out there that could use your knowledge and your resource, and that if you guys want to help them out or they can join an organization, that they know that they have a community behind them. I think I'm doing a good job standing here. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a basic breakdown, and once again, my EA department, External Affairs, they kind of have to do my slides as to what I can talk about. So they said that I should tell you guys what Kubernetes are. So I'm sure you guys already know this, but play along with me. So, you know, when we talk about Kubernetes, what are we talking about? We're talking about simplified container management. We're talking about automated scaling. We're talking about self-healing mechanisms, and we're talking about rolling updates. Anybody don't know what a Kubernetes is yet, please let me know and I can go into better detail. So we're good to go. Okay. Had to put that slide in there just in case. And I think they put this in for themselves because they had to chat GPT it to see what I was talking about. So this is for their knowledge. So anyone here work for a nonprofit, small agency, maybe volunteer their times? Okay, so you may understand what I'm talking about when we discuss some of the issues and concerns, right? So CISA, fun fact, everything that we offer is strictly voluntary, so we cannot go in and tell you have to do anything. We are government, but we are not enforcement. So that's the good thing about my agency. And we also get to go in and say, look, our services are free. They are taxpayer funded. I want to be honest, you've already paid for it, but the services are free for anyone who may need them. And even if you're not from a small organization, we still offer services outside of Kubernetes, but we do assessments, we do the whole gamut, RPT testing. I'll go over it a little bit later. But when we talk about benefits for nonprofits and small organizations, we want to talk about cost-effective resource management. I had a conversation with some of the sponsors. I won't name names, but he and I had a very great conversation. We have something called JCDC, which is our Joint Collaborative Defense Collective, and we work with public companies and sometimes private companies to provide resources to stakeholders in these resource-constrained environments. We also provide resources to Fortune 500 companies who may want to know what's out there, what can they utilize to also secure their networks and their Kubernetes. The good thing about that is a lot of the times when we partner with our Fortune 500 companies, the cost that they pay offsets the cost for the resource-constrained environment for some of our low and resource-constrained stakeholders. Therefore, it's pretty much a wash. Everyone's getting something out of the deal, yet everyone is covered and secure. So we talk about improved application performance, right? A lot of times, like I said, they just click a button, they say, okay, let me go open source, let me Google, let me YouTube. They don't know what they're doing. That happened yesterday. I had a customer come and say, hey, I have some Kubernetes, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Can you send me a YouTube video? Send her the YouTube video. She's like, I'm even more confused. So I was like, I'm going to a conference tomorrow. Maybe I'll find someone who can break it down a little bit better than I can. So you'd be surprised how many organizations are utilizing this platform and this technology and have no idea. And like Lynn was saying earlier, a lot of them are also trying to enforce and integrate AI, which is another concern because that adds another factor of security. And once again, if you don't know how to use it from a basic level, adding AI is making it even worse. And then we're going to talk about the scalability based on demand. Most organizations either scale too high or scale too low. There's never a middle ground, and they don't know when to scale up, scale down. So when that happens, these organizations have issues. We see a lot of container poisoning now because people are using AI chatbots or using AI integrated wrong. And so now their containers are offline and they are having issues with their network and they cannot access certain things. So this is other issues that we see within these resource-strained communities. And so what are the challenges faced by resource-limited organizations? Like I said, budget constraints, right? We say target-rich, resource-poor. Some people have no budget at all, and they have to do with what they can do with free open source, and I'll talk about some open source. And then some people have larger budgets, but it's still not enough to cover the organizations that they have to cover, as well as train staff, as well as retain staff and pay staff. Limited technical expertise. So at CISA, they tell me I'm an expert. I don't believe it, but they pay me to be an expert, so here I am. And that's how some of these other companies feel. They say, hey, once again, I said I have companies where the janitor is the CEO and also the IT person. So they have multiple people doing multiple jobs that may not be in their wheelhouse. And then we also talk about robust security measures. If you don't know what you don't know, how can you implement it, right? So these are all things that we have within the Kubernetes platform, and people are concerned as to how do I go about facing these challenges and how do I find resources or expertise that I can bring back to my organization. I'm gonna get this clicking right in a minute. So one thing that we're always gonna push at CISA, how many people love Zero Trust? Really? I thought I would see no hands. Okay, so look, I work for CISA. I'm not a fan of Zero Trust. We can talk about that when I'm not in my official capacity at happy hour, but no, I do not like Zero Trust. We are on a Zero Trust model. When I tell you everything is locked down, everything is locked down. I can't use ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini, so for those of you who can use AI, I'm so jealous, because no, it's no for us. So what does that look like? What does Zero Trust look like in a Kubernetes environment, right? So that's network segmentation. Once again, people do not know how to do network segmentation because they do not have the technical expertise. If they're lucky, they have someone or they have an organization or a company that they paid and they gave them network segmentation, but they have no idea what that means. Role-based access control. Once again, it's one person doing everything, so they all have the same access. So when I leave, sometimes no one shuts my access off. Why? Because I was the IT person, therefore I still have my access. And I can still log in afterwards because nobody shut my VPN off or even picked up my equipment when I left. And then we have continuous monitoring, right? So I'm monitoring these things, but I don't know how to read a log. I don't know when my container goes down, how to fix it. I just know I have an error message, and it's like, well, maybe if I just restart it, maybe if I walk away, it'll fix itself. So these are all types of things we see within these small organizations or resource-limited organizations. And I will say this, we do have larger organizations that are actually resource-constrained. Can't say who they are, but you'd be surprised how you would think an organization that has a $5 million budget is resource-constrained, but for them, that is resource-constrained. So what are practical steps for implementation? You know, we want to tell people how to define access policy. So when we come to organizations like this, we want you guys' input. So how many people are familiar when the government puts out a rule that you guys can give your input on it? So when these rules come out, and I can send you the link. They have them all the time. We want you guys to put input. You guys are the experts. You guys know what to talk about. You could say, hey, that's a dumb rule. It wouldn't be implemented properly because of X, Y, Z. Or that's a great rule, but you should add X, Y, Z. So a lot of times, people don't even know that they can put input on the technology, rules coming out, and legislation coming out from Congress. So there is a website. You can look up all of the rules, input. It's normally a 180-day process, and then could be another 180 days, 2 years, government, we never know. But at some point, the rule will be published, and you can have your input put in on there. And then, like Lynn was saying earlier, you can utilize service mesh, or you can integrate security and DevOps. Being a cybersecurity person by nature, we always are last to the table, so everyone has already done what they're supposed to do, and cyber is always last to the table, so everything looks nice. And it's like, did you bake cyber in there? And they're like, no, we're not going to, so we'll see you guys once it's deployed, or maybe once we have some type of cyber attack. So I'm like, okay, well, see you guys in 90 days. So it's fun stuff like that. I'm gonna get a hold of this, and you would think I don't have a MacBook at home. So we talk about utilizing open source tools for enhanced security, right? Most organizations don't have the funds, so we also give the option for them to use open source. Now, that I work for the federal government, I cannot endorse any vendor one way or another, but I can say, hey, I know what vendors have these resources, can't give you a price, don't know what they'll charge you. Open source should always be your first option, but there are vendors who are willing to work with you. And like I said, I had a great conversation this morning about something for resource-constrained organizations. And I'm gonna put out a call. If you are with the organization that does offer some type of benefit or service at some type of lower rate for certain companies, please see me, because we do have a list on our website, CISA.gov, where we do give a list of all vendors. We do say that we don't choose one or the other. But once you guys kind of are vetted and we tag you, somebody could go in, check what their tag is, and they can see which organization offers, and you guys will be on our website as an approved vendor. Not necessarily that we approve your work, but we know you do what you say you do. So with some of these open tools, you have cost-effective security solutions, you have vulnerability scanning, intrusion detection systems, and compliance checks. AI has made this so much harder to be more secure and have cybersecurity within Kubernetes and within networks as a whole. So when we talk about this, people are like, well, how do I integrate AI and how do I make that a concern? And I tell people all the time, I don't know, because we can't talk about AI. But once we do pass something, we can have a good conversation. Okay, I want to say this. I did put some open source tools. If your organization is not up there, please do not blame me. This is what my EA department has allowed me. But you're more than welcome to shout out your organization or let me know, and I can add it to my presentation when I send it out to stakeholders. But we'll talk about Aqua Security, Falco, and then Cube Audit. So these are some of the open source tools that we tell people, hey, you can use for Kubernetes security. You can also Google and see what works best for your organization, reach out, and we can align you with a partner organization within JCDC that can also give you assistance. And once again, I know I checked. I don't think anyone works for any of these organizations, but if you are, you did make my list. These are some of the organizations that have done case studies that are really good to read. I did link them in my last page, but when people say, can you give me a case study of where Kubernetes have been done well, these are the ones that we go to. Of course, they're Fortune 500 companies, some of the bigger companies. I do have a list of smaller companies, but because we've worked with some of those stakeholders, we have to get permission before we can share their information. Some of their case studies offer valuable insight, and they give practical guidance. Some of these case studies that I have give step-by-step instructions. So if you ever volunteer with a nonprofit and they have questions, we do have these case studies available, and sometimes it does give step-by-step instructions. So how do we align technical safeguards with policy frameworks? I wouldn't be a government official if I didn't talk about policy and frameworks. So this is the boring part. I'm sorry I have to cover it, but here we go. So we have to know the rule of policy frameworks, right? If you're in the government, we love NIST, we love CIS, we love PCI, DSS, some really nice frameworks. Some of those frameworks may or may not align with Kubernetes, but we do have a crosswalk. So if those frameworks are ones you have to utilize as federal government agencies, you can use those. We talk about how to use your policy and your frameworks to integrate safeguards. So mandatory by government. There are certain safeguards that you have to secure. So if you have any personal data, you have to make sure that's secure at all times. We don't enforce it, but if you ever have a data spill, that is a huge, hefty fine. I won't tell you how much it is, but some companies have been fined millions of dollars for leaking public data. And some of the containers that were accessed cost millions of dollars of fines. So I don't follow that. Once again, CISA, we do not do enforcement, but that is something to be aware of. And we talk about effective risk management, right? So are you doing all that you can do to make sure that your containers and your Kubernetes are secure? If not, if it doesn't align with the framework, we talk about how can we get it to align with the framework and what does that look like? Once again, these organizations normally don't have a framework, normally don't have someone who understands how frameworks work, so therefore it doesn't get done. I kind of covered this, talks about encryption, but we're talking about I'm not going to talk about best practices because you guys understand that portion. So what are services provided by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency? I didn't tell you guys early, it's CISA, but depending on what part of the country you come from, people say CISA, especially like Texas and Oklahoma, so we don't mind if you call us CISA, but sometimes people don't know what you're talking about, so just say the CISA agency. So what's CISA's role? For those of you who do not know, who've never heard of CISA, we are here to manage critical infrastructure. So everything you named earlier, your utility companies, your schools, anything that deals with your way of life that makes life easier, we are there to make sure it's secure. We provide resources and tools. So we do have experts in Kubernetes. I'm not one of them, but I'm learning. I do love the cloud, and I am learning about AI. But I do know Kubernetes. I did go get my master's degree, so I understand it. But we have experts like who can sit here and do what Lynn did and have a good time and like blow you guys' minds. And if you ever want them to come, I will make sure to invite them to the next conference. We give guidance for organizations, so anybody who needs guidance, if your organization needs some type of guidance or they're mandated by the federal government or they contract for the federal government, a lot of that guidance for security comes out of CISA or DOD or whoever you're contracting for. We offer threat assessments. Did you set up your policies correctly and your frameworks correctly? We offer incident response support. I tell people all the time, I don't care what you're securing, you're gonna get hacked at some point. It's not if, but when, and when that happens, you get to see me, and then we have a good time, and we might eat some good food, and we might have some good conversations. Depending on if you're getting fined, you might not want to see me because those other organizations come along with me to offer consequences. So either way, we're gonna have a good time, just depends on if you gotta spend extra money. We do offer cybersecurity training programs. So if you go on our website, CISAlearning.gov, offer a ton of free training. Kubernetes is actually in there. So if you do have someone or you have family, like when you talk about Kubernetes, what are you talking about? Go to CISA's website. They'll explain it all to you because I don't feel like it. My mom is one of those people like, tell me what you do. I tell her what I do. She's confused. I'm like, just go look on YouTube. Like, I don't have the patience. Love my mom dearly. She's in her 70s, so we're going to give her some grace. And how nonprofits and small agencies can leverage their CISA services. This is not just for small agencies and nonprofits. We deal with everybody. So I don't care how big or small your agency is. If you have any federal needs, you contract with any federal organizations, or you do work with federal organizations and you have to be compliant, whether it be FedRep, CMCC, you name it, we make sure that you have those resources so that you can be compliant, that you can keep things safe. If you ever want to do a tabletop exercise, emergency management exercise, we do all of those as well. If anyone needs any shooting drills, like active shooter, we do those as well. You name it, we have a good time at CISA. If you guys ever want to act, we do have calls for actors for active shooter drills. So if anyone wants to dress up and run around, please sign up. And then we utilize threat intelligence. So if anyone has a clearance in here or want to be read on for a day, we work with FBI and our other agencies, NSA, DIA, and our NRO, to give you guys threat intelligence, like what we're seeing out in the atmosphere when it comes to the Kubernetes community and how you guys can be safe, or what we're seeing some of our APT actors doing to affect Kubernetes community. So if anybody has a clearance and wants to be signed up, we do those briefings. Fun fact, we're located in Arlington, so if anybody wants to do that. We're also in all 50 states, Guam and Puerto Rico, so if you don't live here, we do have ways that you can get our threat briefings where you're located. So what is my call to action? I want everyone to make sure that they are assessing current vulnerabilities, you're implementing your best practices. My call is to go out into the community and see where you can be of use, right? So people don't know about KCD. DC, it's very well known because we're kind of a techie government agency, but sometimes you guys can utilize your skills to help some of these organizations. We do have something at FEMA that's like a volunteer force if anyone ever wants to sign up. So if organizations are using Kubernetes and that is your passion, they can say, hey, we have an organization that needs Kubernetes expertise. You guys can sign up and we would call you off the list when they need assistance or if they've been hacked or they need to bring their containers back online. This is just more training. Once again, we do online courses, webinars, and we make sure that communities are being safe and being touched. So my call is, let's talk about the importance of security, zero trust principles, pretty much deny everything, deny everything, deny everything. Open source tools are our friend. If you can't afford it, and CISA cannot give it to you or give you options, open source tools are your friends, and make sure everything you do, especially if you're supporting government, has some type of policy alignment. Sorry to bore you guys, but that is the federal space when it comes to Kubernetes and security, and thank you guys for having me today.